Hey, welcome to the Not Offended podcast. It's your boy Anthony, the conservative Chicano, sitting next to none other than the agent Bill. So here's the thing, Bill. I'm sitting next to you. Okay, so and then all of a sudden we got Mike, the token, and the Bishop Deshaun sitting across from me, guys. What a weekend! What a weekend! What a weekend! I don't want to talk about another Raider loss, but I do want to start off with, hey, this was our first weekend of multiplication. So the Bishop had his Southeast campus. Bishop, is there anything that you want to tell us about that? How was your day yesterday? Because you just looked stressed yesterday and tired and just worn out. You look like you worked hard yesterday. Did you work hard yesterday?
No, it was a good day. I'm tired from the gym.
You're tired from the gym. Okay, talk to me about what'd you do at the gym? Did you work hard?
It was a hard leg day.
It was a hard leg day. Why you do legs on Monday, bro? Yeah, what's up? Legs on Monday.
Get down, recover the rest of the week.
That's actually a good strategy because nobody's at the doing legs on leg day.
No one's ever doing legs.
No, hold on. Let me tell you why. Did you not know that Monday is International Chest Day?
Chest day. Absolutely. I got mine.
Hey, that's so funny. No, it was a great weekend. You did a fantastic job.
Yeah, our setup team was amazing. I texted them this morning. Man, I was so thankful for them. So many guys showed up. They helped set up and tear down. Because it was a big learning curve. And so we needed a lot of guys, and they showed up. Man, I was super thankful for all those guys that showed up. I mean, there's guys beat me there. I got there probably about 6:05. There were guys already there. So, man, I was super thankful. So.
Well, I tell you what, it looked fantastic. It was just a great atmosphere. If you live in the Southeast Fresno area, you need to come on out, check us out. What are the service times? What we got service times, and where are we at?
9 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. at Patrick Creek Elementary.
You looked a little nervous about saying that.
I got to think. I keep saying 9:30. It's at 9 o'clock and 10:30.
Yeah, and let me explain to everybody why it's at 9 o'clock. Okay. We want to get you home for that 10 o'clock football game because your team might be a winner. It ain't mine. Do we have video footage of me saying we were going to get 11 wins? Is that, or did we erase that?
I'm sure there's footage.
There's archive of over under 11 games.
Can we erase that? Listen, if we were in Old Testament times, I'd be considered a false prophet.
Mathematically still possible.
Oh, there's the hope right there.
Yeah,
it is. Possible.
It is.
Looking like a true Raider fan. We still.
I feel like there's an episode of Dumb and Dumber right there. An episode of Dumb and Dumber. You mean there's a chance? No.
That is the two sides of the coin of the Raider fan right there. Week 3, season's over.
No, hold on.
And then week 3, we still got a chance. We can still get 11 wins. Where do you fall as a Raider fan? Are you
chime in? Hold on, right here. Chime in. First off, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. And on this point, y'all need to chime in, okay? Y'all need to chime in. Raider fans, where do you fall? Okay, but where do 49er fans fall? You just lost to the Broncos.
Stepping out of the back of the end zone.
Because Jimmy G didn't know he stepped out of the back of the end zone.
But that's what we do as a Raider fan. We go, our season's bad, but yours is bad too. At least
misery loves company.
If the Niners were 2-1 or 3-0 right now, we'd be in trouble.
Oh, if the Niners were 3-0 right now, I don't know that I could show up to my own church.
Yeah, it'd be bad.
It'd be real bad.
You know what's worse than Raider fans?
Cowboy fans?
Niner fans. Niner fans are the worst.
Why is that, Mike? Go ahead.
Well, the good thing is when they're losing, you don't see any Niner gang songs coming out. You don't see any flags being waved.
It's
the flags on the car.
The flags on the car.
No, it's Bang Bang Niner game. What was it? Bang Bang.
Yeah, Bang Bang Niner. You don't see any of that. It's great. See, like Raider fans, I will say this about Raider fans. Raider fans are true and true. Whether you're winning or you're losing, you always see silver and black everywhere.
Okay, but I am going to probably come on the show next week with Fire Josh McDaniels shirt. Is that okay?
Why is it his fault?
Bro, it's his fault.
Okay, break it down for us.
Okay, 2 weeks ago, you had to get 1 yard to get the hottest field goal kicker in the league on the field, in Carlson. All you had to give was 1 yard, and that wins the game. You don't need a touchdown. You don't need nothing.
Okay, but if he doesn't fumble and lose his head doing it, because he didn't even play.
So
this
what?
week.
Get a closer field goal? Nobody's got longer field goals, more accurate right now than Carlson. Just take the win and go home. Listen, it doesn't got to be pretty. It doesn't got to be cute. It doesn't got to be with grace. A win is a win. I'll take a sloppy win, a dirty win, a clean win. I just want to win for once. Can I win?
Okay, so then what happened yesterday?
What happened yesterday? We don't know how to do a 2-point conversion. Everybody can score a 2-point conversion on us. We just don't know how to do a 2-point conversion. I don't know what's wrong.
Tom Brady didn't get his either.
But Tom Brady got jewelry.
Oh yeah. True.
According to Deshaun, the greatest quarterback of my lifetime, possibly all time. Is he the GOAT? Is Tom Brady the GOAT?
Who's better?
Is Tom Brady the GOAT?
Who's better?
Well, people would say Joe Montana better. But
No, there's no question.
So Tom Brady's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, he is.
All right, I hate to admit it. He is. All right. I don't want to admit it. I'm just Raider fans.
Go back to the tuck rule.
I'm still bitter and salty about a tuck rule. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys about something. This is the Not Offended podcast. We're going to go somewhere we have not gone in a while, but I think it's very important. I just came across, I got up super early this morning, started my routines, and I came across an article I never thought I'd come across, but I want to read to you what the headline says. This is out of the Daily Mail. It says, FDA vaccine advisor. Listen to that now. FDA vaccine advisor warns healthy young people should not get the new COVID booster. Says it's unfair to put them at a risk after data suggested a shot was not as effective as the first batch. Should we have ever made it mandatory that healthy people get a vaccine shot? Because now the new studies coming out, the new evidence is coming out that not only was it not effective, it wasn't necessary to put people at risk of putting a vaccine in the arm that really wasn't that vetted. I don't know, anybody want to chime in on this one? I just think it's interesting. They go on to give an article. This guy gets, and they're already getting ripped and blasted, of course, by big pharma, that this guy is going to cost millions of people their lives. That sounds familiar. But what do you guys think
Wait,
about
time
that?
out. You said cost people millions of lives. So what's going on with the shot? What are they saying?
They're saying that the booster is relatively null and void. If you're a healthy young person, it does absolutely nothing for you. But I feel like I've been saying that the whole time. If you're a healthy person, I didn't understand what the point. You were
okay.
Statistics now they're saying data. Is that data or data? Data.
Data.
Is data? Okay.
Data.
Okay. Just
I
make
think
sure.
you could go data. You could go data.
Oh, is it data or data?
Oh, I don't
Go
know,
either.
but I don't think data.
Okay, data. They're saying data is shown right now that and I'm not an anti-vaxxer, just so you guys know. All my kids have been vaccinated, the whole nine. I've been vaccinated, right? Not with the COVID-19 vaccination, but I'm saying I've been vaccinated, and I still get my tetanus shot when it's up and all that. I'm not anti-vax.
According to them, you are. But keep going. Sorry.
Oh, is that what that is? Just because I didn't get the COVID? But I had COVID
Yes.
4 times. I mean, what to get what now? Like, I got so many immunities in my body. Like, I don't know what to say.
Well, if you
but
would have got vaccinated, you would have never got it.
you know how many people have gotten vaccinated and gotten it?
Nobody. It's not possible.
Can I throw my phone at you right now?
It's not possible.
Your sarcassery is just
yeah. It's
beyond-
like if you would have got
definition,
vaccinated, you wouldn't have killed people when you went to the grocery store. Like if you love people, you would have got vaccinated. You
Okay.
just don't love people.
Okay. Well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. Gosh, all I'm saying is
We were all in this together until you
Okay.
did that.
Oh.
Or didn't do it.
Hey, that's too soon, bro. You're bringing up wounds here. Like people really yelled at me. But here's the deal. FDA, the vaccine advisor, is saying, now this is the FDA, this is their top guy, saying healthy people do not need to get this, especially when it comes to the booster. It's not effective. And now they're saying not as effective. And Joe Rogan got into a lot of hot water. All these people got into hot water, which this is what I don't understand. You guys help me to understand. If you're a healthy person, why wouldn't you have just been better off just getting the virus and then you have what's called natural immunity or nature's immunity? I don't understand why this got so politicized. Anybody want to jump in? And now they're saying the data is showing, hey, this shouldn't have been so politicized. Where did we go wrong?
I have no idea. I don't know. I mean, it seems like everyone gets COVID now, it's not a big deal. So it's a lot weaker now, it seems like.
But 2 years ago, what was it?
Oh, yeah, you're going to die.
Yeah, so COVID, lot of lessons to be learned from that, right? We don't want to repeat what happened here. So to me, it's talking about young people. right?
Yep.
So what I read into that is that's why it's important for you as a parent to do your research, one, and then not just follow along with what everybody else is doing, right? It's up to you as a parent to decide what's best for your kids. My biggest issue with that was they almost took it away from people to be able to make their own decisions of what they wanted medically for themselves and for their kids. It was forced upon people, and that should have never taken place. But it's not government's fault. That's our fault. We allowed that to happen. We allowed the government to say, you need to take this shot, and we're going to mandate it, right? And so that's kind of how I read it.
I just thought it was interesting that everybody who kind of was like, hey, this should be a personal decision, a personal choice, everybody who was screaming that got vilified. Mm-hmm. Everybody who screamed that got told that they didn't love people and were going to kill people. Here's the other thing I didn't understand, and this is just me. When Trump was in office and they were rushing with this vaccine, right? They were hurrying, Operation Warp Speed. So don't think I'm making it up, rushing. It was Operation Warp Speed. I remember everybody coming out saying they're not going to take it because they couldn't trust Trump. But the moment he lost, all of a sudden everybody said, we can take it. See, that to me was the first indication that this was politicized. That this was turned to, it was politicized and then weaponized. And then I have friends who were in the military that literally had to get out of the military because they refused to take the shot. They're just like, listen, I don't even take a flu shot. This is, and by the way, statistically, y'all can look this up. There's no lie here, no cap here, right? You can look this up. Statistically, this is averaging out to just be about a half a percent, right? So 1.5 times more deadly than the flu. Especially as herd immunity is went through, and this is morphed into just another, or it's morphing into, they say, and just to another flu type thing. So I don't understand why we allowed, and by the way, churches even, we allowed this to be a divisive issue. Should it have been a divisive issue?
No, not at all. But it's one of those things where it was also around the same time as all the BLM stuff, all the social injustice things. And this is the current that the nation is going. And if you go anywhere outside of that, if you try to push back to that, then you're automatically labeled as this, that, and the other. There was no conversation to be had. It was either you are totally this way or you're totally the other way, which I think is just unfortunate.
Yeah, it just depends on what you believed. I mean, if you really did believe like COVID was this super deadly disease, which did kill a lot of people, and this is a way to fix it, I can see how someone's angry is like, this is a way we can fix this problem, and you don't care.
Okay, let's go back to what you said. It killed a lot of people. Let's pause on that, right? Let's pause on that. In one of his episodes, Joe Rogan was talking about, did COVID really kill them, or did the core morbidities kill them?
A lot of people died during that time.
No. That's not what he was asking.
Yeah, I understand what he's saying, but
what do you think he's saying then?
They had health problems.
Right.
Yeah.
So all COVID did was, because it's an inflammatory virus.
Yeah, but that's America.
Okay. So why wasn't anybody screaming, go take better care of yourself, go lose weight, go eat right, stop smoking, stop drinking? Why wasn't anybody screaming that?
Well, I mean, at that time, you can argue, well, it's too late for that. We got to help people at this moment.
Okay, so if the vaccines were so effective, then why didn't it save more people's lives?
Oh yeah, I'm not arguing for the vaccine. I'm just saying if that's the way you believe, like, hey, this is.
See, this is okay. So once again, I think this is why it concerns me. We weaponized it instead of really going out there and saying your body's the temple. I'm talking to believers. Your body's the temple of the Holy Spirit. Maybe now's a good time to start an exercising regime. No, we said stay at home and eat fattening food. Those lockdowns didn't help anybody. Here's my problem. My problem is pastors got up from the pulpit and they made divisive statements. They made declarative statements that you would love your neighbor if you loved your neighbor, you'd get the vaccine shot. I said, I'm not going to say that because I'm not going to tell anybody what they should or should not do, especially if it's not in the gospel, especially if God's not saying it. You can't twist and malign scripture for your own self. Now, what I tell everybody is it's a personal decision. This is the part that blew me away is this should be your own personal decision because you're running the risk of taking the shot. And by the way, I didn't care if you took the shot or not, or didn't take the shot. I don't care what you did. I don't care if you had COVID and you came around me. That didn't bother me either. I knew what I signed up for as a pastor. But I just think where are we at as believers to say, hey, listen, we're not going to bring that drama into the church. We got enough problems. This literally shredded our church.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, it definitely should have been brought in the church because I mean, I don't always just listen to doctors completely. They told me I had to get allergy shot for the rest of my life. I took it for a year and I stopped taking it. I've been fine since. They told me, when I had knee surgery, they told me I need to take Narcos for the next 10 days.
Yeah.
I took it for 10 days. I'm not taking it. The only reason I took it because they told me you better take it after you have surgery. I never had surgery before. I was like, I'll take it for 2 days and stop taking it. I was like, I don't have to listen to you because I don't like taking ibuprofen. So I'm not going to just keep injecting stuff or taking pills just because you tell me to. So I'm not taking a back shot also. But that's my life. So I don't want anything forced on me. And we shouldn't bring that into church. There might be other people like me. You're forcing someone to do that. And we're not about that. We're about the gospel. But forcing someone to live a lifestyle that's not immoral and to make them do something like, hey, no, you can't live that way. It's not right. And we shouldn't do that because it'll divide people. Because if you came up from the pulpit and said, you got to take the shot, I was like, well, I'm not taking that shot. Like, I'm not doing a lot of stuff.
Which he brings up a very interesting point, Mike. I thought this was interesting. He said the doctor said to take Norco for 10 days. You know, we deal with a lot of people in recovery. I would never recommend that.
No.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I agree with you. Like, yeah, that's probably not the best of doctor's orders right
No,
there.
it was literally the nurse literally tried to scare me. She was like, I was like, I don't take pain medication. She was like, no, you never had this type of pain. You better take this medicine. And so I was like, all right, I'll take it for 2 days. And so I took it for 2 days. Second day, I took half a pill. Then I was like, I'm fine, whatever. And I took a few ibuprofen for the rest of the days.
Yeah, I have a similar story after my surgery. I had to throw those pills away.
Were you taking Norcos? They
I don't know what it
gave me
was. It was some strong
Percocets.
stuff.
Yeah, they gave me Percocets when they
I was feeling way too good. And I'm like, I have no bright personality. I got to throw this
Did
stuff
they ask
away.
you? Did they ask you if you ever had like any addiction to it?
No, well, she was shocked.
Yeah.
She was like, man, you never had any surgery. You don't take any medication. I was like, no, I never took anything.
I've had multiple surgeries. I've never been asked that. That's funny you would ask that yourself right now, Mike. But I've never been asked that. But I was going to say was, I can't remember, but I had to get my wisdom teeth pulled, and it was really bad. They were severely impacted, and I remember somebody prescribed me. I don't remember who prescribed, but they prescribed me Percocets, and it was the first time I've ever taken a Percocet. Woo, man! I was like, what the heck, bro? What the?
Yeah.
It was so strong. I woke up. I didn't realize I slept almost a whole day.
Damn.
Like I woke up and Manny was like, "Hey, welcome. It's tomorrow." And I'm like, "What?" I just laid down on the couch for a hot second. I woke up in the next day. But it's crazy as I looked in there and I go, I can't take those. Like, you know, this feeling too good.
It's crazy. They had no change on my mental state when I took it. I was like, man, how do people get addicted to it? Like, it did nothing for me. Like, I felt no difference.
Well, because
Should have snorted it.
Or you got that high tolerance over there. I don't
know, but it really didn't change anything. I was like, oh.
It changed me. I can't
me
speak for
too.
you, bro. It was good. Yeah. Nope. Got to stay away.
I didn't even get the high. I didn't get nothing.
But it's important you bring
All
up.
disappointed.
Could have kept going. I don't know what to tell you.
Medical decisions, guys. I
Yeah.
think that's what we're talking about,
Yeah.
right? Like
It should
when
be
you
between your doctor.
prescribe, because your doctor prescribes it, you made a personal decision. Like, hey, I don't really need it. Or I can't be taking this, right? And so it's important to talk to people.
But
about
people lost their jobs.
it. Yeah.
People lost their livelihoods. People lost relationships with family members.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like, it's crazy to be able to look back at how people view things now, in just in regards to COVID, compared to how they viewed the same COVID 2 years ago, and it's like, wow, you really put your foot down, and lost people and said, I'm washing my hands of you because of your personal decision, and now it's like, oh yeah, hey, I won't be at work tomorrow because I have COVID, but I'll see you on Wednesday for soccer practice. It's like,
Yeah.
dang, all right, that's crazy. This
So
is,
it says it's settled. COVID's going to be around.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like
The
cold.
flu. Okay.
It's just gonna morph. It's gonna continue to morph and to change a little bit and to adapt. But the only reason I brought that up too is there are different groups out there that have been proclaiming from the get-go this is a private decision and it's about medical freedom. And I don't say I've partnered with those groups, but I've befriended those groups. I've listened to those groups. I've heard some of the stories. And of course, we allowed one of those groups to use our building a couple weeks ago. And I don't even know if that group had a name, and if you did, I'm sorry, I can't remember it. But they brought in and they were talking about the different types of therapy that were used to help people who were sick. And the problem was that which this part is true, all these vaccines and all these different therapies that they were using, right? All the different pills and whatever to help people, which I understand because we want to help people get better. They didn't go through the natural process. They didn't go through the natural vetting that's in place, right? Because a lot of these, are they called prophylactics? Not prophylactics, but the pills. Yeah, I think so. That they give you the antibiotics and stuff, right? All these things, right? They go through at least a 2-3 year process to be properly vetted. And a lot of these, because we felt the virus was so severe, we sped that up, right? The term I only know is we cut corners. And so some people died as a result of it. And the reason I allowed them to use the building is not only because I wanted to hear what they had to say, but they have a guy, and I recommend you guys look him up, Dr. Peter McCullough. The guy's brilliant. And I know a lot of people say like, well, he's out there on some things. Every doctor's out there on some things. Have you not talked to your own doctor?
Yeah.
They have opinions too. But this guy, this is what he does. He knows his stuff. And if anything, he talks so heavy, so out there as far as like he's so smart, like you just can't keep up. But long story short, there's a Great American Freedom Rally coming up in Clovis at the Bicentennial Park on Saturday at 1:00. And there's a lot of good people out there who are just like, hey, you need to know your rights. You need to know your rights. It's like this. I don't know if you guys know this, and this is some of the stuff they've made me aware of, is if you're family and you go to the hospital and one of your loved ones is sick and they say, we require you to have a vaccine shot, challenge them on that. That's not true. You can still go in, especially if it's their final hours. You just have to push and poke and prod a little bit and say, no, I'm going in. And unless you get something to stop me, I'm going in. I didn't know that. And I didn't know that they can make you do that. So this is some interesting stuff out there so it's Bicentennial Park Saturday at 1:00. You need to know your rights and that you can refuse certain treatments, even if you've got the virus. You don't have to take certain things. But most people don't know the rights. I didn't know that. So there are some rights you need to know. And if I'm wrong on that, somebody please correct me, right? But that's what I was told when I was talking with the lawyers afterwards. Now, could lawyers give bad advice?
Yes.
If anybody knows that.
We've heard.
If anybody knows that, Anthony Paul Flores knows that. You can give bad advice. So run that by your lawyer, but I just wanted to encourage everybody that Saturday at 1:00, right? Okay.
I would say this about some of those groups. I'm sure they sometimes get some great advice. I'm sure there's some good people out there that are part of those groups.
Yeah.
A lot of people in those groups I don't like. I don't like the way they talk to people. I don't like the way that they handle themselves. They're very divisive. I don't care for them. I don't want to be aligned with them. I don't roll with them. You might agree on the same stuff, but I still ain't going with it. You can walk on the side of the street, I walk on the side of the street. You might have the same views, but the way they go about certain things, I ain't down with.
You had to get that off your chest?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Even though like, hey, we both might be conservative, but I ain't like you.
Hey, Mike, he felt a little passionate about that, didn't he?
Oh, also let me even know, like there's certain group of people that had showed up here on Sunday. I was like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I could tell.
He get ready.
Hold on.
He get ready to flip tables.
Like, no, they're like, this ain't Tower. This is like, this our church. What do you
There were people who showed up here on Sunday?
No. That rally. That rally.
Oh, I was like, what happened on Sunday? On
No,
your
Sunday's
campus,
good.
Mike? Yeah.
No, that rally. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what?
I ain't saying it's all of them.
Well, it's unfortunate because you do have groups that will have a good message. I'm not talking about this group. I'm just saying in general. You have a group that has a good message, and people will hijack that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so that happened to us when we were at Tower, and we were being protested. There would be other people who would protest the protesters, and the way that they would go about doing stuff and their reasoning behind certain things that they would do is not gospel. And it's not who we are. And so Deshaun and I would stand shoulder to shoulder and say that, like, no, we don't align with ourselves with certain groups or with certain people because they don't show Jesus. They don't show love.
Right.
Like they're just not who we are.
He had just said they showed up on Sunday. That's why I was like,
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, just because you're right doesn't mean you have the right to be hateful.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree. This is the Not Offended podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe to our page. I want to talk to you about something else. So I received a text message from somebody, and they said, "Hey, I want you to listen to this other podcast." I won't mention it. And it's another group of pastors that get together. And now listen to how they get together. They get together by fine whiskey, good bourbon, shots of vodka, smoking cigars. I don't feel like we're cool anymore, guys.
Hey,
I could never smoke cigars.
I tried.
I did too, but I inhale like I was smoking some
Yeah,
weed.
so did I.
Yeah.
And it's not like
I
smoking.
love the
I
smell
know.
of cigar. It reminded me of my grandpa. He would smoke
Yeah.
cigars all the
I
time.
don't understand the inhale, don't inhale. Like, what do you do?
It just the smoke
I don't-
just goes in your
I
mouth a
obviously
little
didn't know
bit
how to do it.
and you blow it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just
So you
chew.
don't
Okay.
breathe.
No.
Basically, like.
Okay, so here's the deal, though. Here's the deal. So they said, "Hey, can you listen to this podcast and tell me what you think?" And right off the bat,
Are they local pastors?
right off the bat,
This is great. Now we all gonna go look. All right, go ahead.
now right off the bat, the one host who's a pastor says, "Hey, we're inviting other pastors, whether it's a small church or a mega church. We're inviting other pastors on here to have good bourbon, to drink great whiskey, and take shots of vodka." And
I already
said,
don't like
and then he
it.
said tequila, and then he goes, and this is what he says. And really, we don't have very many rules, but one of our rules is we tell the pastors, "Don't be a bleep." And so he just starts cussing right on his
No, he
podcast.
doesn't.
Yeah. And I'm like, what are you doing? And so they bring on this really well-known pastor of a very large church, and they do this. Oh, and they said, "Hey, to keep this out of," because, a lot of personal assistants book the pastor's hours and all this stuff. And, they didn't want people looking at his phone. So they gave it the initials HS, so people would think it meant the Holy Spirit. So they were having Holy Spirit time when really it was their drinking hour. And so I'm like, what the heck is going on? That now you're using, acronyms, or you're using initials, or you're using all this stuff just so people don't know that you're having a drinking hour. Which brings me around to here. So if you're a pastor and you drink, should you just be blabbing that out to everybody? What about the people who struggle with alcoholism in your congregation? I mean, I don't understand the point of this podcast. They said the point of the podcast was pastors could just be real. But how real do you really want your pastor to be? Bishop, since you were so fiery just a few minutes ago, how real should pastors really be? Should they be having a podcast where they're getting inebriated and cussing and smoking cigars? And what do you say here?
The Reformation, you go and they're trying to get away from the tradition of the Catholic Church of you have to work to be holy, you have to work to get acceptance into heaven. That it's only you're saved by grace, you're saved by faith through grace alone. And so I got this, and I don't have to do anything to work for it. But with that, it seems like we're getting more and more away that you don't pursue holiness anymore. It's like, how much can I get away with? Because I'm just saved by grace. So it's not how can I look like God. It's like, how much can I be myself and still be saved? It's like you just keep pushing the boundary farther and farther. I don't think that's what Martin Luther would. I don't think this was his plan. That I can go drink whiskey and take shots now because I'm saved by grace. I think we need to take a step back and realize, like, what are our roots? That you're supposed to look different from the rest of the world.
So, yeah, that was my question, Mike. What is different about that podcast and the Joe Rogan podcast? Except I think on Joe Rogan's podcast, they smoke a lot of weed. But what's the difference? Hey, but it's
and
legal
Joe
now.
Rogan sounds like it might be smarter, more entertaining than.
Oh, he's entertaining.
Yeah,
he's entertaining.
it's
Yeah.
a great podcast.
And
Joe Rogan's podcast
people
is-
would make the argument that smoking weed is better for you than drinking. So they're actually worse off than the Joe
He's not
Rogan
claiming to be a
podcast.
believer. He's not even being a hypocrite.
So what do you think about this podcast, Mike? What are your
Well, I
feelings?
thought it was interesting that you said that they were keeping it real. So if that's keeping it real, then that's really who they are. So then on Sunday, what, they're keeping it fake?
Hold on, before they preach, I'm ready. 2 shots. Instead of singing 2 hymns, come out swinging, they took 2 shots and came out swinging.
I mean, it's just if there's a certain area of your life where you're having to keep it real, then what are the other areas that you're not keeping it real? So I don't want to be under any pastor. I don't want to be pastored by somebody who's fake.
Okay, so let me throw this back at you, and Bill, I want you to chime in. So I guess what I'm saying is, I guess I'm asking this question. What do you think the point of the podcast was?
To be relevant.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're telling me is I got to take shots of whiskey and bourbon and whatever else and smoke cigars to be relevant to people, to reach people nowadays? Is that how you reach people?
Yeah, depending on who you are, you do. Yeah. If you're bland, you're not charismatic, you don't speak the truth, you got watered down gospel, yeah, you probably do got to do some crazy stuff like that.
Bill, what say you? Go ahead.
Oh man.
I lost Bill at the whiskey part.
You
Bill
did.
Bill turned his head, put his head down. I was like, I don't even know why I'm on this podcast. I got to sit here and talk about it.
Yeah, I just like, why is it necessary? I think Mike's point is just to be relevant, to try to fit in with, whoever, and make it seem like you're one of the guys, right? But that's going to create more problems coming in. I think I give you an example, like with my kids, right? And I'm not saying pastors or parents or anything like that, but if I just try to be buddy with my kids all the time, right? When I try to go discipline them or give them good godly advice, it might not go well because of, hey, I thought we were friends, right? So you're in a position as a pastor, right? You're looked at differently, right? And so what's different between you and I? Why would I start listening to you from the pulpit if we can just be buddies all the time, right? So that's kind of how I see it. I think they just try to lower themselves a little bit to try to fit in, and they lose that position of a leader, of a pastor and things. So
Yeah, I mean, they could try to justify, we're reaching more people. Well, that's not the way to do it. If you can't rely on the Holy Spirit to...
Well, I'm trying to see where that's at in the gospel.
Yeah.
Jesus over in the corner with Judas just taking shots of mezcal. That's another type of tequila, just throwing that out there. But, Jesus over in the corner taking shots of fine bourbon. I don't see it in the gospel. Oh, well, Jesus drank wine. There's a big difference between Grey Goose and wine. I'm just throwing that out there, right? There's a big difference between Jägermeister and, a Merlot. I don't know if that's a wine, because I don't drink wine. But I'm just saying, and Jesus wasn't hanging out at the bar getting drunk and then saying, hey, by the way, I got a great gospel.
Nope. Matthew got saved. He went to his house. All his friends were all tax collectors and sinners.
And they got saved.
And then they got saved. Go get someone saved. Go to their house and their family show up drinking. Then get them saved too.
Okay, but
that's how it worked. He didn't go out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so because I'm extra. All right, I'm extra. I get it, right? I start going, well, where do you... So I'm listening to this podcast. I go, where do you draw the line?
You can't.
So, hey, guys, yo, next men's Bible study at the strip club. Let's go.
Yeah.
We're going to take shots of bourbon. We're going to live from the podcast at the strip club. And because you know what? We're trying to keep it relevant.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta tell him myself real quick. I gotta tell him myself.
Okay. We want to know.
Let's go.
Because this happened this last weekend. And I was hanging out with my friend had hit me up. He had bought some tickets to a comedy show. But he probably bought it like 6 months ago, or whatever, a long time ago. And then he was like, oh, it's coming up. So I go. I never been to a comedy show before. I go and I'm there. I was like, oh, people are drinking. Seems to be from church. And but I ain't talking about that though. But
Hold on. Got him. He saw some people from the church. Got him. All right, go ahead. Finish.
We talked afterwards. We're good. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, I shouldn't be here. I realized I'm stuck here with all these dirty jokes. Like, what am I doing here? I shouldn't be here. And this was like, these passionate to realize, what am I doing? I was like, okay, I shouldn't have been here. This is not a great example to my friends. This is not a great example to the church members. Like, what am I doing? Like, who is this benefiting? It's not benefiting me. I'm just hearing all these dirty jokes. It's not benefiting my friends. It's not benefiting anyone. I'm not sharing the gospel in this. So like, okay, we got to fix this. We got to change this. This is the second time. The other time, like, a couple months ago, I was in the car with my friend driving in the hills because he bought a new Corvette. And I was like, what am I doing here? I got 2 kids, a wife, a baby on the way. I was like, we fly off this cliff. I'm going to die. Like, it's over. So, no, Jesus working on me. I don't know. I got to come to Jesus.
Hold on. I got to get clarification. Did you just say you went and talked to the church people after the show?
Well, what? Somebody I talked to there. I talked to a church on Sunday, and they were like, I saw you there. I'm like, I need to go cover his ears. Because there was one comedian. The main comedian was okay. It wasn't that bad. But the comedian before her, it was this girl. I had never heard someone so dirty. I was like, this is insane. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I was like, I shouldn't be here. Like, this is so bad. Like, no one's even laughing. Like, you're just being like,
see,
like even my friends who aren't believers weren't even laughing. They're like, this is crazy.
Okay. So let's just state the obvious. So, as a pastor, this is where I tell other pastors. I'm going to look in the camera and say this. So I tell other pastors, you got to watch your walk. And I'm not saying you're not going to be blameless. Or that you're going to be without fault, or that you're always going to do things right. Listen, as a believer, you're not always going to do things right, but you can make it right. And I think that's something that you need to focus in on and realize that even though I won't always do everything right, I can make it right. And I'm very proud of you, Deshaun, for making it right. And I think what was interesting was the telling where they said, hey, I felt like I needed to cover your ears. In other words, there's a certain level of respect. There's a certain level that they expect you to act, right? There's a certain way they expect you to be. They want you to level up as their pastor. Mm-hmm. And that's why I tell my pastors all the time, you listening to these people who are taking extreme liberties. You're going on a podcast, you're just talking about how you're judging different bourbons and whiskeys and all this stuff. But you don't understand there might be alcoholics in your congregation that are now going to struggle because they know that you drink. That's why I always tell people, if you want to level up, if you want to go that next level, then you need to realize who you're pastoring, and then you need to take it a step to the right, more conservative. You need to step up and say, listen, there's going to be certain liberties I'm not going to take. Even though I don't struggle, I'm not going to take them. Why? Because I don't want to cause anybody else to stumble. And I think that's the most important thing. So what did I learn from this podcast? I learned that I don't know if these people are really helping people. And I don't know if they're really helping pastors in the long run, or if they're just trying to get together and find this excuse to drink bourbon, whiskey, rum, whatever. I don't even know what all these things are, right? And smoke cigars and then keep it relevant. I'm going to tell you what's relevant. The gospel is relevant. It was relevant 2,000 years ago. It's relevant today. The blood of Jesus saved 2,000 years ago. It saves today. Mm-hmm. So all I got to say is if you want to keep it real, keep it Jesus. And that's how you keep it real. This has been the Not Offended podcast. We thank you so much for tuning in. Please do us a favor, like, share, comment, and of course, subscribe to this channel. Hey, guess what? We're going to see y'all next week. Thank you for tuning in, and we're out. Peace.